In 1965, an American missionary from Oregon arrived in this mountain village in Santa Fe, Nueva Vizcaya. He came with his wife and two very young sons to do pastoral work among the Ikalahan people. Delbert Rice was an electrical engineer, aside from being a pastor. A few years after working in this village, he would study to be an anthropologist, the better to understand the Ikalahan, for whom and with whom he would do pioneering work in education, forest management, land rights, and other areas. One of the first things Pastor Rice did when he arrived at his new assignment was to study the culture of the Ikalahan, an ethno-linguistic group living in the Cordillera and Caraballo Mountains in northern Luzon. He put together the results of his research in a material that is now used by the school which he helped put up. The Kalahan Academy started from a group of students who were being tutored by a teacher hired especially for Pastor Rice's children.
Ako nang unang-unang nagturo dito. Hinaran ako kay Pastor Rice, sabi niya, punta ka sa Imungan para magturo ka.
Naitayo nga itong school dahil yung marami kaming hindi nakapag-aral. Kagaya nga ako, na after elementary, tumigil ako ng 2 years, nag-stop. Yung racial discrimination talagang matindi nga. Yan, yung publicly open ka na, sisigawan ka na, na igorot, yung babatuhin ka, sasaktan ka.
The parents convinced Pastor Rice to put up a school, and the Kalahan Academy was founded.
Nawala yung inferiority complex namin na parang tribo lang kami. May confidence na kami para makipagsabayan.
Sinabi ng mga elders dito na dapat ituro natin yung kultura. So yung history ng Ikalahan, may nagsabi naman na dapat ituro yung paano mag-alaga ng kalikasan.
This was the first of many innovations that Pastor Rice would initiate among the Ikalahan. An education that would make the people see the value of their traditional knowledge and culture. It long preceded the current effort of the government to develop a national indigenous people education policy and curriculum. Pastor Rice himself said that the education offered by the Academy made the Ikalahan realize that they can make changes without losing their culture and unity as a community. The school, without a doubt, changed the lives of many Ikalahan. But it was the Ikalahan's rights to their ancestral land that Pastor Rice, along with the village elders, would relentlessly pursue at the prime of his life.
Siya yung nagtulak at nagpakita sa ating lahat kung gaano kalaki ang contribution ng mga Ikalahan sa ating bansa at lipunan. That corner of Nueva Vizcaya would have been forgotten. It would have been nothing by now. That was targeted as the new Marcos City at that time. People were about to be kicked out. They had eviction orders. They had the military with them. Mahirap talaga yung laban nila. Finally, in 1974, government relented.
But it was a very noble approach na naging idea ni Pastor Rice. Why not come up with the help of the late Julian de Vera and Father Lendic de Vera, who was also a founder of BAFI.
I think it was the very force of Pastor in the community that was able to convince government that they had no choice. You have to remember this was during the dictatorship. Can you imagine during the dictatorship proving to government that local communities, indigenous communities at that, had the right to manage their own resources?
The final outcome of that long and arduous struggle was Memorandum of Agreement No. 1 between the Kalahan Educational Foundation and the Bureau of Forest Development. The MOA established the Kalahan Agroforestry Development Project and provided exclusive tenure over 14,730 hectares of ancestral land in exchange for the protection of the watershed. The area is now commonly known as the Kalahan Reserve.
At the end of the day, the Philippines was a better country kasi we learned a lot from this model. Because of this model, nagkaroon tayo ng integrated social forestry program of the Philippines, the very model of community-based resource management.
He cared about outcomes. It wasn't just about the position you took or the principles you uphold. It's whether those principles get implemented you achieve the outcomes. In this case, that man loved the people of Nueva Vizcaya, the people of his communities that he worked with.
Immediately after the agreement was signed, the Ikalahan, together with Pastor Rice, buckled down to work. They set aside 400 hectares as a watershed, as one requirement of the MOA was the protection of the watershed by the Ikalahan. Towards this end, ecology seminars were conducted where the people learned about the natural systems of the environment, biodiversity, and ecological balance. The Kalahan Educational Foundation managed the Kalahan Reserve and continues to do so. Its board, composed of leaders from different barangays, formulates policies and is the final arbiter in resolving conflicts. Pastor Rice did not tell the Ikalahan what to do, believing they knew best and could figure out for themselves how to use their land in a sustainable way. Pastor Rice constantly motivated the people to be more innovative, to look at the forest in a different way, and find creative ways of using their resources. The Ikalahan had long been Swidden farmers, and after the seminars, a community leader developed a system that prolonged the fallow period of their Swidden system. To date, the Ikalahan have reforested more than 2,000 hectares successfully. To support these efforts, 2 nurseries were established, which produced about 200,000 seedlings of forest and fruit trees annually. Livelihood was a constant concern of the people, so Pastor Rice encouraged them to think of ways for income-generating activities. Upon the suggestion of an Ikalahan to make something out of the wild guavas that just fall on the ground, Pastor Rice helped them set up a fruit processing facility. Juice, jams, and jellies made from wild fruit are now sold in supermarkets in Manila and exported to other countries.
He was way ahead of his time. Bago pa nauso itong mga usapin ng ecology, conservation, climate change adaptation. I've been hearing this from Pastor years and years and years ago.
He mentored us, he guided us, he modeled for us, and that's very important. I mean, in a very tough environment, we call him a giant that walked among us kasi he is able to deliver to his people in a way that, I don't know, up to now will never disappear. The security to land, economic opportunities, education. Those are the 3 things I think he delivered to them. He wasn't the white man savior, no? He was one of them. He was an elder of that community.